Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the Community Services Committee meeting of April 23rd, 2024 to order. We'll start with the land acknowledgement. Grimsby is situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Hattawandurunk, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The regional municipality of Niagara, Grimsby, stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands on which we live. Thank you. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary or non-pecuniary interest? Can I have a mover and seconder to approve the agenda? Okay, Councillor DeFlavio, Councillor Howe. Resolved that April 23rd, 2024 Community Services Committee agenda be approved. All in favor? That's carried. Receipt of previous minutes. Can I have a mover and seconder to receive the previous minutes? Moved by Member Laird, second by Councillor Howe. Resolved that the following minutes be received. Community Services Committee, March 26, 2024. Culture Advisory Committee, April 4th, 2024. Age Friendly Advisory Committee, April 16th, 2024. Grimsby Green Advisory Committee, April 17th, 2024. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, tonight we have a delegation from the Grimsby Pickleball Association. Please come to the podium.
Thank you for providing me an opportunity to speak to you on behalf of the Board of Directors of Grimsby Pickleball Association, also known as GPA, and its members. GPA is a nonprofit organization that was formed by avid pickleball players to create and provide organized access to local pickleball courts to play on. Prior to the opening of the courts at Mayfair Park in July of 2022, GPA and the town of Grimsby formed a partnership. This partnership allowed both GPA members and the public time to play with the goal to utilize these courts to the fullest. GPA would take on the responsibility to maintain courts, purchase the necessary equipment such as a first aid kit on site, leaf blower, brooms, squeegees, mats, etc., to ensure that the courts were kept clean, safe, and used for the purpose of pickleball only. Along with the maintenance, GPA also held monthly clinics and intro to pickleball classes for all residents, both members and non-members. The demand has been so high, we have a wait list carried over from last year. Monthly, we have the use of all 4 courts. This allows us to host events, tournaments, raise local awareness, and support some of our local charities such as GBF and Mikey's Network. Intro to pickleball courses and classes are also offered on these dates to utilize all 4 courts at their fullest. We have offered funding towards the enhancement of the grounds by providing more benches, a bicycle rack, garden beds, and have also offered manpower to close and open the courts as needed. We are willing to do whatever is necessary to continue to play on the Mayfair courts as GPA. We have heard the expression, it is the fastest growing sport in North America. Well, folks, this is what's happening here in GPA. Spring has sprung, and the excitement of moving outdoors and playing 7 days a week, but there's also a sense of anxiousness this time of year as we open up the wait list for players to come and join us. They've been patiently waiting through the winter to get on these Mayfair courts. We are currently sitting with 110 members and a wait list with over 100 players. Currently, I can only release 40 more players, and what do I do with the rest? I am here today to ask for the opportunity to manage a 3rd court. This will allow us to release the wait list and continue to build our community. Our partnership with the town of Grimsby is vital to the success of our organization. We have participated, created, and done whatever has been asked of us, and the board of directors have done more. Recently, we've replaced the town's indoor nets and storage bags just as a gesture of goodwill to strengthen our partnership, and we are asking for your approval for the third court. Collectively, we can grow pickleball community at Mayfair for years to come. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak to you today, and I look forward to continuing our partnership.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for the delegate? Councilor DeFlavio?
Thank you, Chair. Through you. Thanks for the presentation. My questions are related to the membership. What do you keep track of people's residency and what percentage of members are Grimsby residents? And when you say a third court, are you talking about constructing another court? Or is there a third court available? Like, I'm just unclear about what you're asking. So, yeah.
If I may answer the first question first, our agreement has been 80-20 rule, and we have definitely exceeded. We can track by our membership. We belong to Pickleball Canada and Pickleball Ontario. This gives us insurance that's over and above what we would have on any public playing. And it also allows us a record of all of our pickleball players from skill level, residency, age, all of vital things that we need to grow the sport. Currently, we can only take 18 and over. Obviously, for many reasons, as instructors come on board, we'll be able to follow other protocols that allow us to deal with the under 18 age group. But for right now, it's 18 and over. When I'm asking for a third court, there are 4 courts at Mayfair. Currently, GPA runs 2 of the 4 courts, and public access is for 2 of the other courts. I'm asking to take over a third court to supply organized play, clinics, more structured environment as to a first come, first serve, which is what's happening on 2 of the 4 courts.
Through you, Chair. So when you say you exceed, that means that more than 80% of your membership are Grimsby residents?
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else with any questions? Thank you. I just have one, actually. So when you say that you're going to offer the third court on a first come, first serve with more of a structured basis, is that going to be free to the public, or will they have to be a member of your association?
By adding the third court to the GPA, it allows me to release the members that are sitting on the wait list, and I can confirm that I have 92 players that are from Grimsby that are looking to play an organized sport. So it would actually really benefit both the community and continue with the guidelines that has been asked of GPA.
Okay, thank you. Councilor DeFlavio?
Thank you, Chair. Through you to our staff members, other organizations within the town, soccer, hockey, other organizations that use our facilities pay fees. Are there fees associated with this association? Are they paying fees to use those courts, or is it kind of an in-kind trade currently that's occurring? Because I'm sorry, I don't remember your name, but the speaker mentioned all of the beautification and all the other things that are happening and taking care of the courts, which of course I appreciate. But are there any fees being paid to use these courts?
So through the chair, this is fairly new still for us. So as we were just starting out, we were not having a fee structure initially just to get it going. And there's been a lot of in-kind support. And genuinely there has, I have to say, they've been really tremendous about all that they're doing. But the intention is to have a fee, and it is reflected in the report later on as well, just so that we can make sure we are maintaining the upkeep and the capital costs, and there's some investment into that facility ongoing.
Are there any more questions? Okay, can I have a mover and seconder to receive the delegation, please? Councillor DeFlavio, Councillor Howe? Resolved that the delegation from the Grimsby Pickleball Association be received. All in favor? And that's carried. Next, we move on to consent reports. There's one consent report this evening on the Happening in Grimsby road closure. Can I have a mover and seconder? Councillor DeFlavio, Member Laird. Resolved that the Community Services Committee hereby approves the following item and that the consent item be approved on the recommendations as contained therein. DCS-24-19. One, that report DCS-24-19 Happening in Grimsby 2024 road closure dated April 23rd, 2024 be received for information. And two, that the Community Services Committee recommend Council endorse the event-related road closures on Main Street West from June 13th to the 15th, 2024 to be forwarded to the Niagara region for approval. All in favor? And that's carried. Next, we're on to discussion reports. The first report is on the Town of Grimsby Public Tree Bylaw. Can I have a mover and seconder to get it on the floor for discussion? Member Bennett, Councillor Howe. Thomas, please go ahead. Sarah, please go ahead.
I'll kick it off, and perhaps Thomas will have a few things to say. So this is coming back your way again from last time. It was deferred back to Grimsby Green from a previous council meeting. There's been some work done on this, and we're excited to say I think are in a really good place now with the bylaw coming at you again with some minor revisions. Thomas, if you maybe want to just give a few more comments to it.
Yeah, through you, Chair. So again, we have brought this bylaw back. So we've had another meeting with a small subgroup of the Grimsby Green Advisory Committee. Again, hearing some of the issues that they had with it, we made some adjustments and then brought that revised bylaw back through the full committee. And at that point, it was described that it would be coming here with the report. Again, this is what staff is recommending be approved up to council for approval. So, is there any questions?
Do we have any questions? No? Okay, resolved that report DCS-24-20 Town of Grimsby Public Tree Bylaw dated April 23rd, 2024 be received, and that the Community Services Committee recommends council approve the Town of Grimsby Public Tree Bylaw as attached. All in favor? And that's carried. The next report is on the pickleball court use for 2024. Can I have a mover and seconder to get it on the floor for discussion? Member Laird and Member Bennett. Sarah, please go ahead.
I'm actually going to flip this one over to Trevor to give some comments to.
Yeah, so just to follow up, I think Shelley did a great job from the Pickleball Association through her delegation, but there is a staff report to accompany the request that came from Pickleball, and it was regarding the use of that third court at Mayfair, so we do have 4. So this will be passing on the programming of 3 of those 4 courts to the Pickleball Association. As I mentioned, we have seen explosive growth, and I think avid is the right word to describe our pickleball community. We've seen a lot of growth. They've done a really great job managing and growing. I remember talking about this way back when they were playing on the Peach King on the outdoor rink, and we've come a long way since then. So I think a few things just I wanted to add. So we are in agreement, and we are planning to move forward with the third court to go to the Pickleball Association for programming. One of the conditions we have added is that all the waitlist participants that are accepted from there are Grimsby residents only. Given 80-20 from a residency perspective, so 80% residents, 20% non-residents, that's a baseline that we use for most of our programming. And that can help because there are opportunities where having non-residents can help grow a league and make it sustainable. But in a situation like this where we've got such overwhelming demand, we feel it's prudent just to require that it's only Grimsby residents that are accepted off that wait list. And we have added a fee of $15 per member. So as part of the membership fee, which there is a membership fee to join the Pickleball Association, there would be a premium on top of that that gets paid as a user fee to the Town of Grimsby that offsets some of our costs to maintain those courts. In addition to that fee, though, I will say the association's been so great with volunteering their time to help maintain. They're out there every single morning with the leaf blower, doing things that we would otherwise have to have paid staff go out and do. So there's definitely a really good partnership there. So that's it.
Are there any questions? Councillor DeFlavio?
Thank you, Chair. Just a comment. I'm happy to see that we're both providing the facility, but also collecting the money that will maintain that facility. I was torn when I saw the fee because it's providing a service that the town might have to provide. So having this organization in town is great because it's providing more recreational activities for members of the public that we don't have to provide as a municipality. So it's a win-win in this case. At the same time, the courts cost money, and maintaining and in the long run, rebuilding those courts costs money. And I hope that we'll get to a point where we need to expand them because that's great. That means that we have lots of active people, but that also means it's going to cost more money for your members. So these facilities aren't free. They do need to pay for themselves at some point. At the same time, we do have a responsibility to provide facilities for members of the public. So this seems like a really good partnership, and I'm happy to see it happening. As much as my love for pickleball is not the greatest, I'm happy to see that other people are enjoying it and we're providing the service for people. So.
Thank you. Anyone else with any questions? Thank you. I just have one actually, Trevor. So my only concern is public feedback on this because the pickleball courts are 100% funded by the taxpayer. So if the general public is only left with one court to play for free, I'm concerned that if there is not enough space that we're going to get some public pushback on that. So do you have a plan or have you had public feedback that there isn't enough demand?
Through the chair, yes. So I think, as I mentioned in my report, it's a balance. Like what we're seeing in the community is a want for both. We've got a very strong demand for structured play. So what the Pickleball Association offers through their membership is the ability to join leagues. They have ladies' night, men's night. They have skill level, different times that you're getting that structured play. So we're seeing really strong demand, and that demand's really measurable. Like we get feedback. They can control who's a resident, who's not. They make sure time is equitable, how much time one person plays. They can track all that. When it comes to the just drop in, it's a lot harder for us to quantify what the demand is. I would say we know it's there. The struggle we're having with that is there's no control. You can play as much as you want. They can come from Beamsville or Smithville or Toronto and use that court. So I think for us, it's trying to find that right balance. So the one thing we are trying to explore is, can we paint some pickleball lines on additional courts in Grimsby? So we've got tennis courts like at Princess and Olive. We've got one in Escarpment Vista. For that more informal place, that if you want to go drop in, you still can. Whereas the courts at Mayfair are specialty built for pickleball. They're top of the line. So having that more, serving that kind of higher level of play where you're paying a membership, we think is well suited to that facility.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Any other questions from anyone? Okay. Resolved that report DCS-24-21, Grimsby Pickleball Association, Court Use 2024, dated April 23rd, 2024, be received, and that the Community Services Committee recommends Council approve an amendment to Bylaw 23-24, Schedule M, Recreation Facility Rentals, to include the proposed fee in this report. All in favor? And that's carried. The last report is the Community Services Department update for April. Can I have a mover and seconder to get it on the floor for discussion? Councillor DeFlavio, Councillor Howe. Sarah, please go ahead.
Thank you. I will just run through a few of these items, and then if there's questions, happy to take them. So we are looking at putting in an outdoor camera up at Southwood Park. We've had some issues, which I know some of you are aware of, and have shared with me, and we're hoping that can help deter some of that activity. The Tearaway map project that we were working on has now been completed. Actually, they were delivered today, so they will be circulated out shortly to a variety of places. We take them to the Gateway, to hotels, all of our own different facilities, and we know they're always quite welcomed, so we're excited to have that on there. In fact, I can even get you guys a copy afterwards if you want. Casablanca Waterfront Park is moving along very well. We actually had a meeting today on it. We're targeting to be complete for end of June. Might be able to open one of the sections earlier than that as well. So things are moving along quite well with that project. Peachtree Center operations update, just gave you a little update as to sort of how we're transitioning some of the customer service and the different pieces, as that is also very close to coming to closing its doors until the fall season rolls around again. Centennial Park just shared a little information with you. We did receive a grant some time ago for some improvements to that park, making it more accessible and making that pathway something that's easier to get to, because right now it's currently quite a steep grade, putting a pathway around that back area where the baseball diamonds are, and then also adding some outdoor fitness, which, a fun fact, long ago there was outdoor fitness at Centennial Park, so sort of bringing that back in a different way. It was a participation grant of long ago. I see a few people nodding their heads, so kind of nice to see that come back as something to offer the community. So hopefully later this spring that's something we'll be installing. We added a bunch of new neighborhood park pathways into our parks. That's something we've been trying to work towards to make them more walkable and more better used. And it is interesting, we do notice there is a definite benefit to having pathways in parks. It's amazing how it changes people's behavior and how they walk in a park. The dog park, for example, is an excellent example of that. We put in the pathway, and it's amazing how much more you see people actually walking around the park versus just congregating in the one area. So that's been very successful for us. Hopefully, a few of you have seen the Christie Street Bridge banners that we added. We did have planters there at one point in time, but we were having some issues with their weight and where they were situated on the bridge. So for safety reasons, we chose not to continue with those and put up a banner. They can be up there all year this way, and a little bit less of a concern from a maintenance standpoint as well. Our summer program registration has gone extremely well. Just shared some numbers there with you. We're really pleased to say that even with the changes we've had to make with not having the Peachtree Center available, the program is very strong and is very strongly subscribed. And we do look forward to once we eventually have our new facility and we can expand that program further, because we know that we're not currently able to meet the demand that exists. A few upcoming events. Community Safety Day is coming up Saturday, May the 11th. That event will be moved to Southwood Park this year because of the construction at Peachtree Center. Ways Goose is also coming up April 27th. And I don't want to steal Councillor Howe's thunder, so I won't. I'll just leave that one. Okay. I also just shared a little bit of information about some upcoming exhibits at the Grimsby Public Art Gallery, and that's it.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Councillor Howe?
Through you, Chair, and thank you, Director, very much. Yes, gotcha, it's not that far away, May 10th for the gala. And it's that opportunity, as I've said before, that we can actually act as adults and even look like adults. You know, we wear long pants and that sort of stuff. But it's a nice, enjoyable evening. It allows you to socialize. The silent auction, if it's anything, last year is excellent choice. It brings out the gambler in my wife, but that's all right. But it's just a nice night. Initially I kind of was not all that keen on it. I guess I'm never quite like that, but it was very, very enjoyable. If you want a nice night, come on out and spend some evening and listen to some good music. You got some Niagara Symphony people going to be there, harps from Hamilton going to be there. Just a very nice evening. Thank you very much, Director.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor DeFlavio?
Thank you, Chair. Through you. So just to clarify, at the Peach King Center, as of May 13th, there will be no activity, like the arenas aren't being used for anything in the summertime. Traditionally, camps run out of the arena. Are those moving to Southward as well for the summer, or because, you know, it's a different drop-off and everything for parents and things like that, or grandparents, or whoever's dropping kids off and picking them up? Was that part of was that publicized, and how's that going to work?
So your first question, May the 13th, the facility closes, and it will be entirely closed until September when we open again for ice. So there'll be no activity at all going there. All of our customer service functions are moving to the Livingston Activity Center. Most of the staff are being accommodated in Town Hall, as most of us are already here already as that's happening. And then once the fall season rolls around, it'll just be ice arenas. So it'll be very minimal staff just to function as ice arenas. We'll still maintain the LAC as our primary sort of customer service spot until we reopen the new facility. In terms of summer camp, we've used Southward Park for quite a number of years, so we'll continue to do so. We also use the art gallery and the museums. We've continued to use all those sites. What's different this year is we are using Smith Public School as our base. It's primarily probably publicized for those who register. They'd see it in the leisure guide, whoops, and all of that. So that's kind of the hub that we're using this year. I will say District School Board of Niagara has been great about that, and the principal there as well. So we're treating that as our hub for this year and likely next year as well. And then probably we'll have the Peaching Center once again become a hub.
Thank you, Sarah. Anyone else? Just want to make a quick comment. I'm really excited about the fitness equipment in Centennial Park. I think it'll be a great opportunity for our residents. I also like the fact that it is a free recreational activity. I think with the cost of living so high, one of the first things that families have to cut out is, your sport programs and stuff. So it's nice to be able to have some free activities that are healthy and accessible in town. So I think that's fantastic, and I really look forward to them. So resolved that report DCS 24-22 Community Services Department Information Update for April 2024 dated April 23rd, 2024 be received for information. All in favor? And that's carried. So next we move on to correspondence. We have one item regarding the new Conservation Authorities Act legislative and regulatory requirements. Can I have a mover and seconder to receive it? Councillor DeFlavio. Member Bennett. Resolved that the correspondence from the Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority be received. All in favor? Oh. Yep, Councillor Howe?
Sorry about that. Read this and going through this, have a couple of concerns, and I think instead of just receiving it, I think it's something that we've, for sure, and I'm going to guess that staff has already seen this, but Public Works, Community Services, certainly need, in my mind, be involved in it. They're talking about reducing setbacks on waterways. In other words, the flood zones. And here we got climate change. We're going and we're going to decrease, the setbacks from the wet areas instead of increasing it when there's more water. I think we need to have some feedback from our people. Is that going to affect us? And there's a few things on the planning side of it as well that I think is going to impact us. And I think it would be fair if planning was to say, well, okay, no, it would be fine, or say, yeah, this is how it could affect us, because I believe that there's some stuff in there. And this is stuff that's been coming down from Toronto into the conservation authorities. So since receive it, but to forward it to staff for comments, would that be appropriate? Okay, if we could.
If the committee wishes to receive the correspondence but forward it to staff for appropriate comments?
Yeah, it works for me, as long as it gets to them.
All in favor? Okay, and that's carried. Okay, so next we're on to other business. So first under other business is Councillor Schraw's motion regarding lights in parks. Council referred this motion to the Community Services Committee to discuss. Councillor Schraw has moved it but is not here this evening. Is there a mover and seconder to get it on the floor for discussion? Councillor DeFlavio and, give me a second, Member Bennett? Okay. Okay, I'll read the motion for everyone. Whereas the town of Grimsby strive to ensure safety of Grimsby residents, Grimsby businesses, and their properties, and whereas the town of Grimsby has experienced an ongoing rise in crime linked to vandalism, theft, and break-ins, and whereas the town of Grimsby is vulnerable to crime due to its proximity to the QEW as an escape route, and whereas the town of Grimsby is further vulnerable to criminal activity due to redirection of Niagara Regional Police resources outside of Grimsby, and whereas local parks with minimal to no lighting are often locations where vandalism and crime occur, and whereas parks with adequate lighting may deter unwanted behaviors and crimes from occurring, therefore be it resolved that community services explore the installation of motion censored lights in parks experiencing a high degree of unwanted behaviors and crime, particularly the Olive Street, Princess Park. Be it further resolved that the community services provide a report to council on the installation of motion sensor lighting in parks experiencing a high degree of unwanted behaviors and crime. Would anybody like to discuss? Councillor DeFlavio?
Thank you, Chair. Through you, I don't know if we've discussed lighting in parks before, and there's opposing viewpoints on it. Have you had a chance to think about it, or do you? I'm fine with the resolution. I think that there's obviously a cost associated with it, and that's what the report will indicate. And the positives and negatives of lighting in parks. So is that what we're exploring here? And is there anything that staff wanted to say about the idea? That was my question, was basically give them the floor to speak about it if they have.
Sarah?
Through the chair, you know, it is something we have been talking about. We do have a few parks that have lights, so I'd be happy to take it away and share some more information. To focus it specifically around parks with unwanted behaviors may get a little bit more tricky, but to look at it a little bit more wholesome as to why we would light parks and why we would light certain parks and how we would do it. Certainly happy to bring back some information. As you said, there are some pros and some cons to it. You're never going to light an entire park, right? So to light the dark corners of a park is a little more tricky. Typically what you would see is parks being lit along like a pathway to allow some activities, more generally what you see. But I can bring back some information on that and happy to have the committee have a discussion about how we would approach that. There's other municipalities that do it as well, so we can also look at some of that benchmarking. But you know, again, there's a couple different, usually it's more, like I said, a pathway or something like that you would see lit. Look at Casablanca Park, that's along the pathway. Coronation Park has it as well. Not so much usually that it would be to light like a dark corner of the park. That would become a little bit more challenging, but I'm happy to delve into it a little bit more and give you some more information on that.
Thank you. Member Bennett?
Thank you, Chair. Thanks, Sarah. Yeah, I guess I do know that corner that there is speaking about, and I know that would be hard to light because you have a house right there. But yeah, it would be great just to know, following up on what Councillor DeFlavio said, is just to see if lighting would actually, if there's a precedence for its effectiveness. Because just putting a light on without cameras, or, you know, I'm not sure. Because then it's also the surrounding neighborhood, how the lights are going to affect the residents too. And, you know, like it's complicated. It's not as simple as it seems. Yeah.
So there's a whole body of work, through the chair. There is a bit of a body of work behind this, and they call it CPTED, so it's crime prevention through environmental design. And it's deliberately looking at how do you design things that can deter those things. Lighting can be one solution, but so can looking at other sight lines that exist or where you encourage people to walk. So, you know, we've had it in other parks where there's been dark areas and unwanted behaviors, and sometimes it was more about maybe trimming some bottom branches off of a tree or doing other things. So lighting might not even necessarily be the best solution, so we can certainly look at that as well, and other factors that help to sometimes deter some of those behaviors as well.
I guess things like, in that one particular instance, there's a picnic table right there. And, you know, like placement of benches and, yeah, right? Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else? Just a couple quick comments on that. I think, yeah, prevention of crime and residents feeling safe is the key priority with that. So, and I think that's part of the motion activated lights, just because, yes, in some neighborhoods, the lights would disturb the neighbors and stuff, but a motion activated light might come on just when somebody goes in there, so it might be a deterrent. But I think looking at all avenues and sort of pinpointing which parks it's an issue, and then just having sort of a report back on, you know, different things that could be taken would be fantastic. So, okay, so I already read the motion, so we'll vote. All in favor? And that's carried. Is there any other business pertaining to the committee? Okay, our next Community Services Committee meeting is scheduled for May 28th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. Good evening, everyone. This meeting is adjourned.